Hello, and welcome to the new podcast solo series that is listener-supported content or listener-provided content ideas. For the next 30 days, listeners will be providing me with one content idea that I can use each week. I do a new solo podcast episode in between when I do my podcast guest interviews. So to help keep the podcast content fresh and so you guys are listening to content that is valuable to you and that you want to listen to. So I appreciate your support. Thank you for joining me on this podcast, solo podcast hearing experiment, utilizing listener-provided content ideas. And without further ado, let's get going on the podcast. Shout out to my buddy Aaron for this week's content idea episode on generational differences between Gen Z, Millennials, and Boomers for episode 88, how they think differently and why it matters. Aaron's Instagram at Bruin Aaron. That's at BRUHNAARON. Thank you, Aaron, for this week's content piece episode. Hello, and welcome back to the MindCep Podcast. This is your host, Alex Muir, helping you flex your mind, body, and soul. In today's episode 88, we're going to be talking about Gen Z, Millennials, and Boomers, how they think differently and why it matters. So let's explore the similarities and differences between people of different age groups. Again, I'm your host, Alex Muir of the MindCep Podcast, and I'm going to talk to you about Gen Z, Millennials, and Baby Boomers, how they think differently about various topics such as work, technology, politics, and social issues. This content idea, again, was provided by my buddy Aaron, and I already did a little snippet of Aaron's Instagram before this episode. So Gen Z, Millennials, and Baby Boomers are the three most prominent generations in today's society. Gen Z are the youngest generation, born between 1997 and 2012. Millennials are the generation that came of age around the turn of the millennium, born between 1981 and 1996. And baby boomers are the generation that grew up during the post-war era, born between 1946 and 1964. These three generations have experienced different historical events, cultural shifts, and technological changes that have shaped their worldviews, values, and behaviors. In this episode, I will highlight some of the key differences in how they think about four important topics: work, technology, politics, and social issues. Let's start with work. One of the most obvious differences between Gen Z, Millennials, and Baby Boomers is how they approach work and career. According to a survey by Indeed, Gen Z are more likely to value job security, stability, and benefits than Millennials and Baby Boomers. They are also more likely to prefer traditional work environments such as offices and cubicles over flexible or remote options. This may be because Gen Z grew up during the Great Recession and the COVID-19 pandemic, which made them more cautious and risk-averse. Millennials, on the other hand, are more likely to value work-life balance, flexibility, and autonomy than Gen Z and Baby Boomers. They're also more likely to prefer collaborative and creative work environments, such as co-working spaces and startups. This may be because millennials grew up during the rise of the internet and social media, which made them more connected and innovative. Baby boomers are more likely to value loyalty, seniority, and recognition than Gen Z and millennials. They are also more likely to prefer hierarchical and structured work environments, such as corporations and institutions. This may be because baby boomers grew up during the Cold War and the Civil Rights Movement, which made them more competitive and ambitious. Now let's start talking about technology. Another major difference between Gen Z, Millennials, and Baby Boomers is how they use and adapt to technology. According to a report by Pew Research Center, Gen Z are the most digitally savvy generation. having grown up with smartphones, tablets, and social media. They are also the most likely to use multiple devices simultaneously, such as watching TV while texting or browsing online. Gen Z are also the most likely to use technology for entertainment purposes, such as gaming, streaming, or socializing. Millennials are also very proficient with technology. Having witnessed its rapid evolution from dial up internet to broadband to wireless, they are also the most likely to use technology for educational purposes, such as online courses, podcasts, or ebooks. Millennials are also the most likely to use technology for professional purposes, such as online networking, freelancing, or entrepreneurship. Baby boomers are the least comfortable with technology compared to Gen Z and millennials. They're also the least likely to use multiple devices simultaneously or switch between different platforms or apps. Baby boomers are also the least likely to use technology for leisure purposes compared to Gen Z and millennials. However, baby boomers are not completely technophobic, and they are willing to learn new skills and adopt new tools if they see their benefits or relevance. Now, on to politics. A third difference between Gen Z, millennials, and baby boomers is how they view politics and civic engagement. According to a study by Gallup, Gen Z are more likely to identify as politically independent than millennials and baby boomers. They are also more likely to be skeptical of political parties and institutions than older generations. However, Gen Z are not apathetic. They are more likely to be socially conscious and activist than older generations. They are also more likely to support progressive causes such as racial justice, environmentalism, and LGBTQ plus rights. Millennials are more likely to identify as politically liberal than Gen Z and baby boomers. They are also more likely to be dissatisfied with the status quo and demand change than older generations. However, millennials are not radical. They are more likely to be pragmatic and compromise than younger generations. They're also more likely to support moderate causes such as healthcare reform, economic equality, and immigration reform. Baby boomers are more likely to identify as politically conservative than Gen Z and millennials. They're also more likely to be satisfied with the current system and resist change than younger generations. However, baby boomers are not reactionary. They are more likely to be tolerant and respectful than younger generations. They are also more likely to support traditional causes such as national security, fiscal responsibility, and moral values. Social issues. A fourth difference between Gen Z, millennials, and baby boomers is how they perceive and respond to social issues. According to a survey by Deloitte, Gen Z are more likely to be aware of and concerned about social issues than millennials and baby boomers. They are also more likely to take action and speak up about social issues than older generations. Gen Z are also more likely to be inclusive and diverse than older generations, embracing different cultures, identities, and perspectives. Millennials are also likely to be informed and involved in social issues than baby boomers. They are also likely to take initiative and lead change on social issues than older generations. Millennials are also likely to be collaborative and cooperative than older generations, seeking consensus and dialogue on social issues. Baby boomers are less likely to be engaged and invested in social issues than Gen Z and millennials. They're also less likely to take responsibility and accountability for social issues than younger generations. Baby boomers are also less likely to be adaptable and open-minded than younger generations, preferring stability and familiarity on social issues. Again, I hope this episode gave you some insight into the differences in thinking and how the different generations think differently for Gen Z, millennials, and baby boomers. And I've also attached the cited sources links that I use for this episode. And again, if you wish to provide any feedback, I'm now on TikTok as well, and I'm active on Instagram and TikTok. And you can connect with me, get to know me at mind.cep. That's mind.cep. And it's the same name for Instagram and on TikTok. So you can start listening to the podcast. I've got my link tree on Instagram. It's got all my content on there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and a little snippet into next week's episode. For episode 89, we're going to be talking about, let's look at the content ideas here. We're going to be talking about another content idea that I find very interesting, especially because my buddy is currently going to school right now for nursing. He wanted to know and he wanted to provide a content idea about optimal studying practices and studying while using some sort of instrumental music, or how music can enhance studying, or what kind of challenges or maybe protocols that you can utilize while studying and using instrumental music, binaural beats, or other types of music to help focus and enhance focus when you're studying for something, or you're doing courses and stuff like that. So that is going to be next week's episode. That's coming up. That's episode 89. And right now, to celebrate MindCep's, we just surpassed. So now we're on the 101st episode of the MindCep Podcast. And last week's episode 87 was the 100th episode of MindCep. So thank you all for being avid listeners of the MindCep Podcast. I love and I cherish your support. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for next week's episode. And this episode will air. We are Saturday this week. It's October 28th, and I'll be posting this episode momentarily, and it'll be available on all podcasting platforms that you listen to podcasts. Just take a bit of time to upload all of them, but you will see it on. I will share the links for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for next week's episode. And this episode is brought to you by RadioGuestList.com, the #1 free radio guest, podcast, and talk show guest expert interview booking service on the internet. Disclaimer. The information I provide to the podcast listeners of MindCep is based on my own research and personal experience. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Not all information is factual or has scientific evidence to support it. I am simply sharing the best information I can find and finding valuable content to help you improve your mental health and well-being. Please consult your doctor or therapist before trying any of the modalities I discuss on this podcast. This episode is brought to you by podcastguest.com. Connecting podcasters with great guests. Podcasters. Find relevant experts and other podcasters to be guests on your podcast. Experts, guests, and more. Get booked on great podcasts to expand your reach and audience. Podcastguest.com. Connects podcasters with experts, authors, and other podcasters to be guests on their podcasts. Are you ready to take your mind and body to the next level? Look no further than MindCep, the podcast that's all about unlocking your true potential. And now we've teamed up with a brand that's as dedicated to recovery as we are. Introducing New Recover Ice Bath. Hey there, podcast listeners. It's your host Alex here, and I've got some exciting news for you. If you're looking to supercharge your recovery after those intense workouts, or just want to experience the incredible benefits of cold therapy, New Recover is your ultimate solution. Picture this. You've pushed your limits, and now it's time to treat your body to the rejuvenating power of an ice bath. New Recover Ice Bath offers a range of top quality products designed to help you bounce back faster and stronger. From their innovative ice bathtubs to their specially formulated recovery accessories, New Recover has it all. But wait, there's more. As a valued listener of MindCep, you're in for a treat. When you use my exclusive discount code ALEX36631 at checkout, you'll get a fantastic 15% off on any New Recover product purchased through my affiliate link. That's right, a 15% discount to elevate your recovery game. So whether you're an athlete aiming for peak performance or someone who simply wants to feel invigorated every day, New Recover Ice Bath is your ticket to unparalleled recovery. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to invest in your well-being. Remember, it's not just an ice bath, it's a lifestyle upgrade. Head over to our affiliate link to explore the New Recover range and embrace the power of recovery like never before. Don't forget to use code ALEX36631 for that exclusive 15% discount. Thank you for supporting MindCep and taking this exciting journey with us. Here's to unlocking your potential and recovering the new Recover way. MindCep and Recover, because your mind and body deserve the best. Start your journey today. Do you love listening to the MindCep Podcast and want to support us? Here's how you can do it. Simply use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It won't cost you anything extra, but we'll get a small commission from Amazon for every purchase you make. This way, you can help us keep producing high-quality content for you and millions of other listeners. Just click on the link below and start shopping. Thank you for your support. Affiliate disclosure. Using our link for Amazon earns commission, supporting the MindCep Podcast. Our endorsement is based on quality and potential to enhance your well-being. Thank you for your support. MindCep's mission is to empower 30+ million listeners worldwide to achieve optimal mental and physical health through engaging podcasts, inspiring positive change for future generations. Dear listeners, I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the MindCep Podcast. This is your host, Alex Muir, helping you flex your mind, body, and soul. And I just want to start off by saying, I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening to this podcast. I appreciate your feedback on my episodes and following the show. And I would like your feedback as well in the form of a short rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Spotify Podcast now has a rating and review section. So I would love your feedback on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, to help me attract great guests and to help me further the show and develop the show and improve the show. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed this episode. And again, you can reach out to me to give additional feedback on my blog. That's alexandermuir.com/blog. You can reach out to me on through my Instagram, through Facebook. All my links are in the show notes. And again, I appreciate you and thank you all for listening. Thank you so much, MindCep listeners, for enjoying the show, being an avid listener of the MindCep Podcast. We've now reached over our 100th episode since 2020. So thank you again for following me along in this journey. I hope I've inspired you. I've made you want to try to start your own podcast, or just to gain valuable information and insight into different things and all the guests that I've had on, and then, following the solo episodes where I've tested that out. And just want to say, appreciate you all, love you all, and thank you all for listening. And let's stay tuned and engage for the next 100 episodes and see how long that takes. Thank you all, love you, and stay tuned for next week's episode. I hope you all enjoyed that listener provided content idea episode for this podcast solo series, 30 days worth of content ideas experiment, where my listeners provide content ideas for the next 30 days for my future solo podcast episodes. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to provide feedback, please do so. Comment, rate, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please leave a short review on Apple Podcast. And if you enjoy the content and you have any feedback, you want to get some more content ideas, please reach out to me at my Instagram at mind.cep. That's at M as a Mike, IND.CEP at mind.cep. If you want to DM me about additional content ideas you'd like to see for future solo podcast episodes. Thank you all for listening, and see you guys for next week's episode.